Hey, so as a quick note before I begin, I started working on the script and then I noticed NewPipe seemed to be broken. Turns out Google updated some stuff and NewPipe might need to be updated before it works right again. Keep an eye out on bug 7734 on GitHub for updates if you want to check that out. But by the time you're actually reading or watching this, it might already be good. Last time I covered the basics of FOSS apps, where to get them, how they're useful, and so forth. And with one exception though being web wrappers, which I thought I'd wait till today for. I'll leave a link in the description to the video, because if you haven't toyed around with FOSS apps, you'll probably want to check out the overview of F-Droid and stuff like that. But otherwise, if you've seen it, then this will basically be an extension off of what I talked about the other day. So what is a web wrapper? Simply put, a web wrapper is an app that uses the mobile website version of a service within an app. Let's use Facebook as an example. If you use Facebook, then it'll take up, a couple hundred megabytes of data. It'll track you in a lot of ways. It can pull your location, contacts, data about your phone, images, or any other file from your device, and plenty more. But yeah, compare this to something like Frost, which is just a web wrapper for Facebook. It's 5.3 megabytes. Facebook only gets your IP address and a few fake details on your browser agent that Frost claims you're using to load it. It also requires a lot less resources to run, so if you have an older device, it'll probably breathe a little new life into it. Despite all these unbelievable differences in privacy and resources though, there are actually not a lot of trade-offs here. You can still access your feeds and messages on an interface that you could pretty easily just mistake it for the official app. And unlike loading a mobile web page in your browser, you stay signed in, you don't need to deal with tabs or address bars if you choose to have them. Additionally, since the web wrapper is separate from your browser, there's no need to worry about Facebook cookies causing privacy concerns on other pages that you visit. And the only trade-off here is that once in a while a feature doesn't function quite as intended, but otherwise you actually get a whole bunch without really much of a trade-off. Now each web wrapper is different, so today I thought I'd go over a few that I find useful. As with my last video on FOSS apps, there are plenty more web wrappers out there, but I can only review the ones that I've used in the past and shall sure use right now. Frost for Facebook. Frost is a super simple app. It's a great example of a web wrapper, and I use it as an example because whenever I've used it, I found it to be super useful. If you swap it out for the standard Facebook app, you get all the benefits I mentioned with almost no loss in features whatsoever. Then there's NewPipe for YouTube. NewPipe is a super simple YouTube web wrapper. Unlike Frost, however, you don't sign into your Google account. Instead, it allows you to locally subscribe and will then pull the latest videos from your subscriptions and allow you to view that feed. You can import and export your subscriptions with NewPipe, and you can actually import your subscriptions straight from a Google account through Google Takeout. It works about the same as a YouTube app, and it allows you to view an ad for YouTube by either streaming or downloading any video that you wish. The one caveat is that since you can't sync videos saved in playlists between devices, I usually just take care of this by going to youtube.com and adding any videos from a subscription feed or whatever into one or two playlists. One is just kind of a general watch list and one for audio-based content, and then I just set it to unlisted and import those playlists to NewPipe so I can sync the content of the playlist between devices. But otherwise, if you can get around that, it is definitely something you might want to check out. Then there's Slim Social for Twitter. This functions very similar to Frost, but obviously for Twitter instead, you sign into your account and operate it just like you would the Twitter app. And it is worth noting that there is a Slim Social app for Facebook as well, but so far, whenever I wanted to have an app for Facebook, I just stuck to Frost, so I haven't checked out Slim Social for Facebook yet. Then there's Fritter for Twitter. Slim Social acts like Frost for Twitter, but Fritter acts like NewPipe for Twitter, allowing you to locally subscribe and receive notifications, but you don't actually sign into your account. Now, on Twitter, a lot of people probably want to interact with people a lot more so than they would in YouTube. So while on NewPipe you can get around not signing into your account, it might be a little bit more difficult if you want to use Twitter. But that said, if you're simply looking to read content and /or receive notifications, then you might actually want to check it out. But that's just about all the specific web wrappers that I'm listing here today. I can assure you there's plenty more web wrappers for plenty of other different services, but I just can't recommend any in particular because I haven't used them myself. That said, there is another trick up our sleeves, and that's the mobile version of websites. And I know that sounds super obvious, but I can actually assure you that there's still useful info in this half of the content piece. Now, normally when you, say, sign into Facebook, on your normal web browser you have two options. You can clear cookies once you're done, and then you'll be forced to sign back in again every time you want to access it. Or you can stay signed in, but then Facebook will be able to track you through any website that has some sort of Facebook asset on it, such as a like button or Facebook ads or whatever. There is a third option here, however, and that's having a dedicated means of opening the website aside from your main browser. Well, you won't get notifications and the like as opposed to web wrappers like Frost. You can still avoid repeated sign-ons and also avoid being tracked through cookies. The best of the two options I'll cover is called Web Apps. Web Apps is an app that allows you to create what is effectively a browser profile specific to a certain website, and that won't affect any other site. The great thing about this is that it doesn't require you to install a specific app for that specific site, or even require a web wrapper to be developed for a site. Simply create a quote-unquote web app, add the site, sign in, and then once you've done that, you're all set. Once you've added the ones you want, you can just open the Web Apps app and then access the website that you'd like, and you'll be signed in, but the cookies won't travel anywhere unless you're actually within the Web Apps app that you created for that specific site. Your next option here, avoiding both web wrappers and official apps, would just be to get a second browser and use that for accounts. Now, this is obviously a lot less complicated, but it also lacks in privacy a bit. Now, of course, the trade-off is, say you sign into a Google account and Amazon account. If you're on your dedicated browser, then the cookies will be shared, and say Amazon has Google Analytics on their site, which I honestly don't know if they do or not. Google can see that you're on Amazon with your account, and you're also signed into your Google account and all the same. But otherwise, if you then have your second browser, which automatically clears cookies or never saves them to begin with, you don't have to deal with those cookies attached to your normal accounts whenever you're doing anything that doesn't require those accounts. Okay, so I apologize, that was pretty quick and kind of a little bit lacking. I didn't realize how few web wrappers I've used just because I don't usually use the local apps anyway, but I hope it helped. And if you've never tried web wrappers, web apps, or utilizing more than one browser, if you like dedicated apps to a particular service, then I would definitely recommend checking out these options. They'll help you save a fair amount of space on your device, definitely increase your privacy, and might even make things simpler and easier. Regardless, thanks for watching or reading.